A Reinvented Life. Your question today is, what does a mysterious undercover blood researcher, a Boston interior designer, and a 70-something first-time crime novelist all have in common? They're the exact same woman. Today on Senior Life Discovery, host Donna Stancel sits down with author Shirley Novak to discover how a life full of unexpected twists proves that your best chapter is always the one you write next. So stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Senior Life Discovery, the podcast dedicated to helping you live your best life as a senior. I'm your host, Donna Stancel. Today, we are answering a question that so many of us face as the years roll by. Is it ever too late to completely reinvent yourself, to step out of your comfort zone and follow a lifelong dream? Our guest today is a living, breathing proof that the answer is a resounding no. After a highly successful 40-year career in interior design practice, she decided in her mid-70s to finally honor a creative passion she has held close to her heart since childhood. Today, she is a celebrated speaker and the published author of the historical fiction novel, TheStory of, as well as the gripping crime thriller, Stolen Lives. Please join me in welcoming the incredibly inspiring Shirley Novak. Shirley, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to see you.
You have famously said the absolute failure is in not trying. What was the initial spark or moment of realization that gave you the courage to transition from a 40-year interior design career into publishing your debut novel in your mid-70s?
I've never not wanted to do. I wanted to reinvent myself over and over and over again. And what's interesting to me, anyway, is that I grew up in an extremely negative household. My parents did not believe in daughters, females going to college, only boys,
wow.
because I was to be a mother and a wife. And I knew I was much more than that. I did not want to just do that. I did want to be a mother, but I wanted to go to college and get a degree and just be out in the world. Mm-hmm. And I had to fight hard for that. I had to pay for it myself. So I worked after school every day in high school and on weekends. And I was only able to pay for a 2-year education. And I ended up taking a 2-year program, which made me a registered medical assistant.
Okay.
And as a medical assistant, it was a great program, and I had a great understanding of biology, anatomy, and physiology, and all that other stuff. And I did an internship at Boston Medical Center, and there was a research group doing surgery on the unborn, and this had never been done before. We're talking 1966.
Okay.
And I read everything I could about them, and I applied for the job, but they wanted someone with a master's degree. However, so I had a mother who said, "Are you crazy? Why are you even wasting your time? Get a job, be a secretary." Anyhow, I applied for the job. I read everything I could about them. And they said, we need someone with a master's degree, but your enthusiasm is so overwhelming. We have to hire you. Plus, I'm sure I came cheap. And what they did was they sent me to the University of Rochester Medical School to take a crash course in hematology. And I became the research department's, I was the expert on blood. And they paid for everything. I mean, it was unbelievable. And this was what my mother told me I could not do. I would never get it. So after 4 years working for them, research grants were being cut out, and we didn't have money for projects. So they fired everyone except me because I knew everyone's job. And there were days that I'd come in and go to the movies because there was nothing to do. And then there were days I'd be there 48 hours straight delivering sheep or you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you say
Uh,
sheep?
yeah.
Okay.
Our research was on sheep, purebred beagles, and every now and then a monkey, once a horse. And we would operate on the unborn in the fetus in utero and let it be born. And then we would give it a condition. Then we go in and we would correct the condition we gave it and allow it to be born and follow it through life. To me, this was the most amazing thing I've ever seen or done in my life. But I was getting bored because I was working straight through days and then not at all. And they opened a medical assistant training school in Boston, and I applied to be a teacher. Anyhow, I became a teacher, and I taught the medical assisting program, and I taught anatomy and physiology to the entire school, which was medical secretarial and dental assisting. And I did that till I had my third kid, because when I first started working at the school as a teacher, I found out I was pregnant. And so I took a maternity leave. And then I went right back after that. And then they called me and said, I had to leave because I was pregnant again. I was having another child. And they said, if we create an evening school for you, would you be willing to teach it? I said, absolutely. And I did that till I had my third child. And then I stayed home. I was a stay-at-home mom. And when my baby was 3 years old, he was in nursery school, and I hired 2 interior designers to help me with my home.
Okay.
They offered me a job. They ended up hiring me, and I worked part-time with them, and I got all my field training as an interior designer. And then I left them because someone showed up with a gun one day because they were using their clients' money towards other people's projects. And when this guy walked in with a gun and said, I said, that's it, I'm out of here. But I had a following, and I decided if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And I went back to school, and I got my degree in design. It took 9 years, one course a semester for 9 years.
I understand that completely.
Yeah, because I had 3 kids, and I didn't want to go during the day full time.
Well, I personally didn't start college until I was in my mid 40s.
Wow.
And because I didn't have the money to go to school. And then it took me 10 years of night school to get my first degree.
See, I understand. Absolutely. And it took me
Yes.
9 years. And by the time I got my degree in design, no one knew. I mean, I didn't let anyone know I was graduating because by then I was already an accomplished, pretty well-known interior designer in the Boston area.
Wow, nice.
And yeah, and so I said, hey, I'm graduating. No, I didn't go to my graduation, but I did that. And I just sort of retired, like just now, because I had a couple of clients that have been with me since day one, literally. And they're like family now, and it's no aggravation. So I'm just finishing up one, and then I am done with that because I'm writing my third book. And
Well,
that's,
speaking of that, your first book, The Story of, is a historical fiction novel closely based on your father's real experiences immigrating from Eastern Europe. What was it like unearthing those deeply emotional family truths later in life, and how did it affect your legacy itself?
it was tough. It was very tough because I was the baby of the family and the only girl, and my father and I had a different relationship than he had with my brothers. And when he died in his 70s. But when he passed away, I found out about his upbringing, and it was tragic. It was really tragic. And I always felt it needed a story. And when the pandemic hit, I sat down and wrote a book. And it's called The Story of ... And the three dots are indicative of all the immigrants that came over to this country at the beginning of the 20th century. They all have a story. Everyone has a story.
Yes, and they made our America what it is today.
You're not kidding.
So,
I
yeah.
grew up poor, very poor, but I didn't know it because everyone in my neighborhood was poor, you know?
Yeah.
So, my father was born in 1904, Koretz, Poland, and his father was the worst man I've had the misfortune of knowing. He was still here and alive when he died, but he was a horrible, horrible person. And when my father was 12 years old, his mother died, who was a very sweet person, and his father sent my 12-year-old father, his father sent his 12-year-old son and his 9-year-old son to live in a brothel.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I found all this out after my dad died. And he lived in a brothel for 3 years. And his father finally sent for him. But during those 3 years, my dad was raped by a Polish soldier when he was 15.
Oh goodness.
So this gave me the beginning of a good book. It's really done well.
Oh,
And
that's exciting.
and when my dad came to America, his father greeted him at the station and said, I don't have room for you. You're going to be 16 years old. Go out and get a job. And he was remarried at that time and had another child on the way. And he sent my father out into the world, who couldn't speak a word of English. And my father was determined. He was very, very smart. He wanted to be a chemist, but he couldn't go to school. So he learned a trade. And that's the beginning of my book.
Wow. So your book is published now, correct?
It's been published for 3 years.
And how's it doing?
It's been doing great. It's
Wonderful.
Anyone who thinks they're going to write a book and get rich off it, unless you're Stephen King or James Patterson, it don't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
It's something you do for yourself.
Right, right. So you didn't stop at historical fiction. Your second novel, Stolen Lives, tackles the incredibly modern and urgent issue of human trafficking.
Yes.
How did you find the creative stamina and passion to jump into such an intense research for crime fiction?
I haven't got a clue. And that's the honest answer. I sat down, and the interesting thing is this was way before Jeffrey Epstein was an issue. And I had an independent publishing company call me and say, we understand you are writing another book. We would like to stay on top of it. And if we like it, we'd like to sign you. So I said, this is too easy.
That's exciting.
It was, but he turned out to be the devil in disguise. He kept the book on a shelf for 8 months, and I never heard from him. Nothing. We would have a meeting every once a month with a bunch of other people. And finally, I said to him, I had a hybrid publisher of my first book, and this was a traditional publisher. And I said, I used to hear from my hybrid publisher once a week. We stayed on top of everything. I have not heard from you at all. And he said, then why don't you just go back to your hybrid publisher just like that? I said, okay. I later found out that I dodged a bullet. One of his authors tracked me down and said he was lethal.
Oh, wow.
Anyhow, so here I am. I've had this book. It's been out for 8 months and not out. It's just been completed for 8 months. And so I looked into independent publishing, and I found a company called Book Locker. Pay attention, all you budding authors out there, because Book Locker is the most perfect publishing company you could ever imagine. It is an independent publishing company, and you have to pay them, but the price you pay is so minuscule. I mean, really, anybody can afford it. And once the book is completed, they don't take any money. You get 100% of the royalties.
And this is Book Locker. Is it like booklocker.com?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be good for our listeners.
Booklocker.com. The owner of the publisher is Angela Hoy, Hoy, and she puts out a weekly newsletter called my God, authors. I forget the name of it, but because I just click on it every week. But I'll find that out. But if you look up Angela Hoy, you'll find it.
Okay.
And she's available 24/7. She responds within hours to any question you might have. And I get a check from her once a month.
Wow. Well, so you're making a side, what they call a side hustle?
It's not huge amounts of money, but it certainly is paying for itself. And
Wonderful.
in that book has been the first 7 months after it came out, it was in the top 5% of Amazon, and then it went down to the top 10% of Amazon. I think now it's been out for exactly a year.
Wow.
And so it's starting to drop, but I have a lot of interest in my next book.
That is very exciting. I'm so happy for you. So you've got a third book you're working on now, but the other thing that I wanted to touch on is that your profile highlights that you are a synesthist.
Synesthete. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Where senses blend. So talk about that, and how does this fascinating perspective shape the way you visualize your writing, and how has it influenced your view of the world as you've grown older?
I never knew I had it until one night my son was watching TV about 20 years ago. That's how recent it's been. And he said, "Mom, they're talking about me." And that's when I found out there was such a thing called synesthesis.
Okay.
And
Can you explain it to us?
Yes. Synesthesis is when neurons cross. So it's like for me, I see color whenever I see a number, and the same colors go to the same numbers. It turns out that the perfect profession for me was being an interior designer because spatial relations, I mean, I see things differently than the average person does. Like number 6 is blue, number 7 is green, number 5 is red. So when I see red, when I see the number 5, in my head, it's also red. And it also has, I also have the difference between soft and sharp. So odd numbers are sharp and even numbers are soft. And I do math in a way that no one else does.
Okay.
In fact, I was so bad at math in public school. And it wasn't until I went back to school to get my degree in design that I found out that I took a basic math course, and that I would have the answer in 2 seconds. And the teacher would say, how did you do that? And I don't follow steps. It just that in my mind, everything seems to cross over, and it's very strange. It's not a bad thing. It's just that I think differently. I see things differently than other people.
So how does that affect how you relate to people, or that sort of thing?
I don't know how I've never looked into how that particular thing relates to people, but I do know that you could throw me in. The best thing for me is to be thrown into a room of strangers, because I love to listen and I love to find people with stories, and I love strangers. And my husband is like, if it's not one-on-one, he's not happy. And with me, it's like the more, the merrier, Um, and I take things with a grain of salt. And I know that if I'm not doing anything wrong, even though I've been held as a terrorist twice in my life, yes, but I
So,
know I'm not doing anything wrong. So I go with the flow. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
well, still, it's something that a lot of people don't recognize in themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay, well, many seniors hesitate to chase creative paths because they worry about technical learning curves or the industry being built for younger generations. What did your path through publishing teach you about navigating the business side of a brand new field later in life?
I followed my passion to write.
Hmm.
And I didn't do an outline. I don't write like other people do either. I just write. I sit down and I write.
So you're a
Um,
linear writer.
I'm a linear writer.
Okay.
I guess that's what it's called, a linear writer.
Yeah,
Y-
and a linear means just doing things in the same in order.
I just do it. Yeah, I sit down and I write. I call it a pantser because I write by the seat of my pants. And
That's a good one.
yeah, and I think I mentioned to you earlier that what I find amazing is that I was in the fourth grade. I was 9 years old, and
Hmm.
I had a teacher that gave us an assignment to write a poem about
Hmm.
spring. And he was so impressed with mine that he made me read it to the entire school.
Oh, wow.
And he called me aside later and he said, I just want you to know you have a real talent. And I think someday you're going to be a great writer. Do not ever stop writing.
Well,
And
there was your
he left,
inspiration right there.
and it stayed with me. In fact, he is the only acknowledgement in my first book because it left such an impression on me. And I have tried to find his family, and there are no more records. I mean, they don't go back that far. You
Mm.
know, we still had horses and buggies. And so I don't, I, I, um, I can't find out anything about him. But what has happened that I love is that I went on Facebook and Instagram, I went everywhere. And I said, if anyone went to this school and had Mr. Willett as a teacher in the fourth grade, let me know if you know anything about him at all. I didn't find out any more about him, but a lot of my fourth grade um, friends have found me and they called me or they emailed me back on Facebook. Hey, remember me? And so yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to me.
Yeah. What a great story.
Yeah.
So, if a listener is sitting at home right now with a dream that they've deferred for 20, 30, or even 40 years because they feel the clock has run out, and what is your message to that to help them jump in today? I know so many people who have reached retirement age who have just given up on life and, sit in
I'm
front of the
turning,
TV and just
no,
age.
no. Number one, I'm about to turn 80.
Oh,
And
congratulations. I'm not
thank
far
you.
behind you, by the way.
Well, but mentally I'm 12, you know, physically it's starting to break down a little bit, but, it, my feeling is, as you said at the beginning, failure is not in trying and not succeeding. Failure is never in trying in the first place.
I agree with you.
Everybody makes mistakes. And trying something you've never done before is definitely not a mistake. If it doesn't work out, you tried it. You don't have regrets.
Have you ever heard of the expression that you keep trying and you're failing up?
Yeah,
So
actually,
every time you fail, you learn something that you can do differently or better.
absolutely. And I believe that if you wake up in the morning and you're still breathing, then there's nothing you can't accomplish if you want to put your mind to it. And
Mm.
it's like, why me, poor me does not exist in my world at all. Um, if I have a breath, I'm going to do something. I don't even know if this is my final chapter. I think I had mentioned to you earlier that I wanted to be a pole dancer.
Ah!
Unfortunately, unfortunately, I have two fake shoulders, so that ain't going to happen.
Oh, So, this is, nobody knows what their expiration date is. And so, in my opinion, that sitting on the couch and just turning into a vegetable watching TV constantly is just not the answer for living your best life.
No.
And your story is a true masterclass in what it means to look at this chapter of life, not as a wind down, but as a grand opening. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your bright passion with us today. So for everyone watching and listening at home, you can find direct links to Shirley's incredible books, including The Story of and Stolen Lives, right in our show notes below. So be sure to head over to her website to follow her journey and stay updated on her upcoming third novel.
That will be called Mr. Stone.
Mr. Stone. So
It's a
remember,
sequel.
your current chapter can always be your best chapter. The only absolute failure is in not trying. So keep exploring, keep dreaming, keep living, and make it your best life until the next time. This is Donna Stancel signing off from Senior Life Discovery. I hope we see you on our next episode. And be sure to check out our channel on YouTube because you'll see other episodes out there that might be of interest to seniors. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me on our journey together today. Be sure to click the like, subscribe, and alert buttons, and I will see you all next time for Senior Life Discovery.